Subscribers, it's Linda Schmidt with Stampin' with the Hounds. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am going to be sharing with you a pretty popular technique. It's been around for a long time, and it's one that I had done a video on a few years ago, but we're doing a little bit of a twist on it this time. So it's called the faux wood, or faux carved wood is kind of what this version of it is. And it's using your embossing folders, and you're scoring some lines to make it look like planks. And then again, you're just using ink pads to swipe the colors and stuff. Now, the original technique, you either use like a neutral colored cardstock. I mean, this was just white, or you could use like crumb cake, any kind of light color, and you would just score lines, and it could be 1/2 inch, 1 inch, you know, whatever increment you wanted going across to make it look like planks. You would emboss it, and then what you're doing is, so this is the raised side. So you would actually emboss your folder, or emboss your cardstock with your folder first, then flip it over, or I'm sorry, flip it, yeah. So on the raised side, and then you're going to do the score lines, and then you would flip it over and then do your ink swiping. So you're ink swiping on the debossed, kind of the dented in side of it. So that's kind of the original look, the faux wood, where you would do like crumb cake, pecan pie, a little bit of pool party to kind of give that a little bit of a cast to the wood, if you wanted to, and then finishing it off with early espresso. So that's kind of the original faux wood kind of technique on it. So this one, what I've been kind of playing with, so I just went through my embossing folders and my cardstock kind of scrap drawer, and I just grabbed a bunch of colored cardstock, neutral papers, and I just experimented with just a ton of different dimensions going across, whether it was 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, and then again using just different colored cardstock on it. So we're going to be doing kind of a version, this one for sure we're going to kind of make for it's going to be pretty much looking like this. The other one, using our new sunflower embossing folder. This one, it just came, I'm trying to think now, I think this is it's an online exclusive, but now I'm trying to remember if I think it'll be ready in July. I don't think it's ready yet. Yeah, I think it's July. I think we could pre-order it. So, and I just got it this week. So we're going to do a version of this one. This is what I just kind of did, like a little split panel on it. But I wanted to show you some of the other cards, because it really is, like I said, I went through my scrap drawer and I just grabbed, you know, I tried different color combinations, different scoring patterns. It was just kind of a nice relaxing day in the stamp room, and it was like 100 degrees outside this weekend. I just do not do well in the heat, and oh my gosh. So I kind of had fun yesterday. So I really like the Happy Hibiscus embossing folder, and this is an online exclusive. You can get the folder, and then there is the die, because it's a hybrid one, so you can actually emboss and die cut at the same time. And then it also has a stamp set. So this is a really fun, this is probably like one of my favorite sets right now that I've been using. So you're going to see a lot of samples with that one. So this one I had done, it was with the white cardstock. So I embossed it with the hibiscus folder. And then on the raised side, then I did my score lines. And I went, this one, I thought I had written this one down. I think we're going to be doing it today. So, but that's kind of like the version of it. So I hadn't made it look like double lines instead of just doing just one single line. But my ink colors were Timid Tiger, Pecan Pie, and Early Espresso. And that's kind of the order that I did the swiping. So I thought that really, I don't know, I really like that combo. And then this is that new, it kind of looks brighter. Because I have it against that lemon lime. But this is that Darling Duckling, which is a new in color. And then this Timid Tiger is a new in color. So kind of a fun kind of look to it with that. And then I switched it. And then this is actually the Strawberry Slush cardstock. And this one, I believe I did, thought I wrote it down, but it might be somewhere. I think it was Strawberry Slush, and then I did a little bit of Early Espresso just to kind of give it, and then I went in with my ink blending And I just did a little bit of Timid Tiger just to kind of give it a little bit of orange in the center of the flower. So I thought that one was kind of fun using that strawberry slush. So it still kind of gives you that carved kind of wood look, but really fun. And then I love the blues. This one was actually Balmy Blue cardstock. And then I did Blueberry Bushel and I believe the new Secret Sea in color. So that one turned out really good. And then I just did a little bit of the white gel pen. So that one's kind of, I just like it against that lemon line. I think the blues really pop on that one. So we're going to be doing kind of a version of this one, or at least the colors and stuff. And then here's some other ones. This one I'm using the Darling Duckling was my base for my cardstock. And then I just did like pecan pie. I did some early espresso. And then I just kind of sponged in with like my blending brush, adding a little bit of the Timid Tiger just to give it a pop of color. So I thought that one. And then this is kind of like every 1 inch, kind of the wider panels on that one. And then this is that new Pressed Flowers embossing folder. That is an online exclusive. And this one was before I got my sunflower folder, but this is a non-Stampin' Up! One. But I was trying to experiment, like, okay, if I get the sunflower folder, this is kind of what I want to have it look like. So these ones I did like every 1/2 inch for my lines, for the planks. And then again, this is just that Darling Duckling. And then I just did pecan pie and early espresso for my inks on that one. So super fun. And then these are, I had posted a lot of these on my Facebook group page. So you can kind of see some of these. But again, this one I had just done like a craft cardstock. And then I did the, I think it's like Birchwood. It's one of our newer folders that's in the main catalog. And then I had just done early espresso. And then I did a little bit of the white craft ink pad just to kind of give that more of kind of a rustic look. And then this is that split panel layout. And I've got a video showing you how to do that layout. And this one I had done on my cardstock was the basic beige. And then I had just swiped with like, this is a retired color. So it was Pebbled Path, a little bit of Pretty in Pink, and Summer Splash, which are in colors on that one. So these ones I kind of did 2 cards. I basically cut out, the center on this piece, and then I used it on this other one. So I said these are kind of like on my website, so you can kind of look at those closer. And then this again, I really like the blue. So here I did the Coastal Cabana as my cardstock, and then I swiped it with that Secret Sea. So again, you don't always have to use white. You can, play around with your colored cardstock. So again, this is kind of more of the traditional weathered wood or, carved wood, faux wood, whatever you want to call it, technique, where this is on vanilla, or actually it might be, I think that's basic beige. And then I had done the Pebbled Path, a little bit of Secret Sea, and then a little bit of the soft sea foam. So it kind of gives it more of that wood look on it. But it's so much fun. And again, these are just some other non-Stampin' Up! Ones. But again, I was kind of experimenting with my score line, so you can really kind of play up with it. And then here's with the Peach Pie as the cardstock, and then swiping with Timid Tiger, and then a little bit of early espresso. And then this one I actually did, I thought this one turned out really good. This kind of looks like that burnt kind of carved wood, I think. So that one's, I think, really pretty. And then this one isn't the technique I was just showing. It was just with the, what do they call it, like Black Magic, where you sponge all your color on first, and then you swipe with a dark ink pad. And this one I swiped with that Secret Sea. So, but there's no faux wood look to it on this one. It was just the embossing. So, all right, well, we are going to get started. So like I said, you can really, just have fun with it. Get out your, your scrap drawers and your ink pads, and just get ready to get inky. And again, you can really kind of play around with what you're doing for your spacing. So one thing is like, if your cardstock is like 4 inches across, you want to have it kind of even. So like, again, here I just did every 1 inch on it. And again, you're going to, so this is the raised side. You score on that raised side, but you swipe your ink pads on the opposite side, the debossed side. So again, this is another 1 inch, so it's 5 inches across, and then I just scored every 1 inch. So you can kind of play around with how you're doing that. And then here, so it's 5 1/4. So then I'm going to do every 3/4 of an inch. And these I haven't inked up or anything yet on it. So then that would be kind of your measurements and stuff. So you kind of got to do a little bit of math so that you get an even coverage going across. And then again, 4 inch, you know, pretty easy. I just did every 1/2 inch. I think you can kind of see the score lines on that one. On it. But again, you're always going to be scoring on that raised side. And then here's another 5 inch at every 1/2 inch score line. So, like I said, have fun with it. Just kind of experiment. There's no right or wrong. So we are going to start. I'm going to start with, we're going to do a version of this one. And we're going to do the sunflower folder. So let us get those pieces. So I think I kept this one. I was going to do it portrait. So my card base is just your standard A2. You know, it's 4 1/4 by 11 and folded it half at 5 1/2. So that's just my card base. And then I'm using, I really like our new two-tone cardstock. It's a little bit lighter than our cardstock, but it's heavier than our designer series paper. So it makes a really good alternative for your layering pieces on the inside. So again, you can either do the lighter version of it, or you can do the little bit darker version of the crumb cake. So that is just 4 by 5 1/4, and these come in 12 by 12 sheets. So I'm just going to have that on my inside. And then I just have a layering piece that's garden green. This is just 4 by 5 1/4. So that's just the card base. Then for my scoring, so this is going to be, we're going to use that new sunflower 3D embossing folder. And this is one of the larger ones. I mean, it's a monster folder. And because my cardstock is, I believe I did 3 3/4 by 5. And you're kind of like, what's with the tape? I have the tape in here because I was positioning this where I wanted my flowers. Like I wanted to have, you know, 3 that were going to be my focal piece, so that when I'm kind of burnishing, I've got my 3 little dark brown circles that for the center of the flower. So I put the tape in here just so when I'm putting in my cardstock, I kind of know exactly where it needs to be lined up. Plus, if you're doing multiple cards, this is just an easy way of just, you know, plopping it in so you know you're always getting the folder in the right spot. So because our cardstock is 3 3/4 inches wide, I'm going to score it every 3/4 of an inch when we get ready for it. But you first want to emboss your paper. And so this was the Darling Duckling, which is a new in color. I'm just going to real quick do this off screen here. It's just off the side of my desk. Oh, and then when you run it through, you want to make sure you're putting it through the machine where the folded edge goes in first. So make sure that goes in first before your machine. Just real quick. All right. So now we have this beautiful embossed sunflowers. Isn't that pretty? I just love this. And like I said, this is that Darling Duckling, which is a new in color. Okay, then you're going to need your scoring tool. And again, because I was going to do, my paper is 3 3/4 inches wide, I'm going to score every 3/4 of an inch on this. I just want to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing here. Okay, so this is the raised side. So that's the side I want to score on. So we're going to do every, if you can see this, every 3/4 of an inch. So we're going to do 3/4. And I'm going to use the wider ball of my embossing, or my little embossing tool here, just so it doesn't tear my cardstock. So there's 3/4, and then we're going to do at 1 1/2. And I go over it a couple of times. And then we're going to do 2 1/4. And 3 inches. Okay, so now you've got your dented in lines, and then your flowers are raised up. So now we're going to flip this over, and we're going to ink and swipe with the ink pads on the debossed side. So for my color combination on this one, I was going to do, I'll just look in here, I thought I had my cheat sheets. I think I'm going to start with Darling Duckling. Then I will do Pecan Pie. And then I'm going to do a little bit of espresso, and then a little bit of crushed curry, which I know when I did this earlier, I do need to re-ink this really quick. So let me... And if you have some of the old style ink pads that were more of the fabric base, sometimes those work a little bit better for this technique because the pad is a little bit sturdier. You don't risk, you know, tearing or mucking up your ink pads, which I have done on my own numerous times. All right, so we're going to start with the light color. So this is Darling Duckling. And I'm just going to get these out of the way. So on your ink pad, you want to be swiping where, you know, you don't have this little color swatch, so keeping that kind of closer to your palm. And you want to start, and I'm using like a silicone mat, which does make it a little bit easier. So it kind of holds your paper. And then you want to start on the mat and then gently swipe going across so that you don't catch and get like a big blob of ink. So it's going to be, you're kind of keeping, I can turn this like this way. You're keeping the pad kind of like at a little bit, so I'm trying to do this here, kind of at an angle, like, I don't know, it's like 45 maybe a little bit, but you're swiping going down, and then you don't want to press super hard. So kind of, you know, experiment a little bit too. And then also check to see how juicy your pad is. Because like I said, you don't want to get a big swatch of color and be like, ugh, you know, it's like all over your paper. So we're working on that deboss side. We're going to start on the silicone mat, and I'm going to gently drag down. Then I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to do the same thing. Start on the mat, and then drag down. Now, you could just call it good because you've got that where the deboss, the ink pad is, you know, filling in on those planks, but not on the, it gives a little bit of highlights on the sunflowers, and then that's good. So that's the Darling Duckling. Then I'm going to go over with Pecan Pie, and it's going to be the same thing. And the other thing too, I do like to have a little bit of a cloth just so that I'm wiping up some of that excess ink, so that I'm not getting, you know, other inks on my ink pad that were from the leftover. So same thing again. We're going to start on the pad. I just give it a test to see how juicy my pad is. We're going to start on the pad, and you're going to gently swipe, rotate the cardstock, do the same thing, start on the pad or on your silicone mat, and then drag down. Isn't that pretty? So it's getting a little bit more color to it. All right, now as you get darker, you want to be a little bit careful with your ink. So now this is going to be the early espresso, so that's your darkest color. Again, give it a little test. Now this one I know because I've been doing this for quite a bit, it is getting a little bit drier. So I've got a little bit more give. Because if it was super juicy, it would be like, you'd get a big blotch. But this is like at a perfect stage right now. All right, so now you're getting a little bit more of that kind of burnt, kind of carved look to it. Then I'm going to go back, and this is because I just want a little bit more, a different yellow added to this. So I'm going to go with the crushed curry, same thing. Now, just because I re-inked this, I want to see how juicy that is. I'm just going to drag and then flip it, and then pretty. I love it. So cool looking. All right, now the other thing I like to do is, once you're happy with your swiping, so again, if you wanted to go back with, you know, the pecan pie or go back with the espresso, you can always do that. I like to, just to give it a little bit more of that weathered, kind of burnt look to it, I'm going to take my blending brush, and I've got my ink, my early espresso ink pad, and I'm just going to basically blend. And again, when you're doing the blending, tap off so you don't get the big blotch of circle of, you know, early espresso. So give it a tap, start on the mat, same thing, and in a circular motion, you're just going around the edges, giving a little bit more darkness to it. I'm sorry, my camera, everything is like shaking here. And this is where I'll also go back and I'll ink up the center of my sunflowers with the early espresso. So here, because it's on the edge, I'm gonna come in, I'm just gonna go a little bit darker here just to get the center of my sunflower. So you will get a little bit of inky fingers. Okay, now for the center of this flower, I'm going to come in, I've got a smaller ink blending brush. I was just looking to see if I had a brown one. I thought I had a brown one. I guess we'll just use this one. Okay, just because this is a little bit smaller area. So I'm just going to take the early espresso and then just kind of focus on the center of my sunflower there, just to get that a little bit darker. And then same thing here. We're just gonna go in a little bit darker just for the center of it. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Isn't that pretty? Love it. So pretty. Okay, and then that's the technique. So pretty easy. And again, just wipe off. This is why I like having that silicone mat, because it just wipes up. Or if you've got a glass mat, you know, too. But I sometimes like the silicone just to help it grip a little bit, the cardstock. Okay, let's go ahead and turn this into a card really quick. All right, so on this one, I was thinking I was going to keep it fairly simple. So we have going on right now, we do have our suites are on sale. And it's basically all the supplies like in a suite. So you would get like the paper, there would be the stamp set, the dies, usually like some ribbon or gems or whatever. But you can get stuff within there, and it's buy one, get one half off. So if you just wanted to get, you know, the stamp set and the die, you could get one, buy one, and get the second one half off. You know, so you got, it's kind of nice. So this, I'm going to be using, this is from our Mixed Florals suite. So I had gotten, well, I got the whole suite basically on this one, because I got two suites. So I got one for half off. But this, I did a little bit of the leaves that I'm going to, that I've already kind of die cut and colored. And then I did, there's little ladybugs in here. So I've already got some of my little ladybugs cut and die cut. And I was going to then, out of this Mixed Florals, there was the Mixed Labels stamp set. And then there's dies that go with it. And that's what I used on this one. So I've got You're Pretty Wonderful. So those are the two that I did on this one. So we're going to somehow put all that together. I just kind of created this in my head, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's see here. Let's get some glue. So I'm just going to glue this down. So again, this is that Darling Duckling. And this color wasn't one, I wasn't a big fan of it. But I do like it for this technique because I'm adding, you know, the browns to it. It kind of does give that nice rustic look. And so I'm just layering this onto a 1/4 sheet of Garden Green cardstock. And because this is kind of inky, I'm just going to take a block just to press this down so I don't get inky fingers. And then try not to move my cardstock. Okay, let's try that again. Yeah, I've been, well, work has been, it's been like a month since I've done a video. So it's been, we have, for my day job, I work for a company and we do a lot of conferences. And so summer is our busiest season. We basically have 4 different conferences that we've been planning for that start in July. And so I have not had a chance to do anything around the house or like my yard work. And so finally yesterday, of course I picked the hottest day to do it, but I got all my plants for 50% off. So it kind of paid to wait later in the season to do all of my flowers. But yeah, the hands were not looking good yesterday. So I got a manicure this morning. So they look a lot better. All right, so that's all layered. And then I was just going to kind of keep this fairly simple. I was thinking if I just did something like that, and then just add a few of my little ladybugs on them. But I'm thinking I do, just because this looks pretty stark, I'm going to blend just to warm it up a little bit. Let me clean this really quick. I'm going to do a little bit of pecan pie. Just around the edges on this, because it just seems, this is crumb cake, but I just want to warm this up a little bit. So I'm just going to very lightly kind of blend around the edges, just so it kind of gives it that kind of burnt, kind of carved look too. So I'm just really focusing on the edges. Still doing that circular motion. There. There. And then it doesn't seem so, not as stark. Okay. All right. Then let's do I could just do something like that. And then maybe just add our the other thing was from, this is from that, actually this is from one of the newer, this is coming out in July, Charming Day. This is another kind of bundle, and there's a suite, but this die cut here is what this one is from. So depending on what I want to do here, but I think we will just keep it. Yeah, we'll just keep it like that, and then we'll just add our little, add a little ladybug. Maybe one there. There's 3 different ones, so I'm just going to try and get all of them on here. Yeah, something like that. Okay. So let's I think because this is such a inky background here. I'm just going to add some dimensionals on these pieces. I really don't want to cover up my sunflowers too much here. We'll do that. And then on this one, I'm going to pop these up as well. So this one I did double layer just to give it a little bit of stability. So I just stamped it in the white, die cut it, colored it. And then I just die cut a, it was just old olive, but it can be any color, just to layer behind it, just for a little bit of stability when you're popping it up here. And then I'm just positioning these. So I'm going to probably need one more right there. And then the rest, that one we're just going to glue directly onto the crumb cake, and then a little bit of glue here. Yeah, I can't believe June is really flying by. I feel like it's going to be 4th of July, and then it's like, boom, summer's over. Gonna have the Christmas stuff coming out here pretty soon in the stores. Isn't it always Christmas in July when they do that? All right, there's that. And then I'm gonna pop up my one little ladybug here. Let's see. This one will just glue right on to the tag. And then I think I will pop up this little guy. I want this little bugger. Yeah, we'll just keep them up here. Okay, so there's that one. And then again, I just had, this was just that lightweight two-tone cardstock for the inside. And I'm going to keep it blank because I'm not quite sure what I want to do on the inside here. So we will just adhere this. And I think I want to do a little bit of the, I want the darker side showing, so just adhere this inside. But yeah, it's kind of nice because then you don't have, because I've already got like, you know, 3 layers of cardstock on the front. It's just nice to use this two-tone cardstock because it doesn't give it as so much weight with it. And then I think we're just going to add a little bit of Wink of Stella on our ladybugs just to give them a little bit of glimmer. There. So that is that carved wood with the sunflower folder. And again, these were, what did I do? Every 3/4 of an inch, kind of scored on it. So fun. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's do the other one. Let me get some of this stuff out of the way. Where I'm doing the double lines. So this one, and then also kind of making that little frame on it. And then using, again, another kind of colored cardstock. So again, this one, I'm again using some more of that mixed florals die. And this is the, so you're getting, in this die set, you get this big, this one here, that's cutting out that kind of piece. That's that one. And then you get all the ones that are going to be cutting out the flowers, the ladybugs, you know, the stems and stuff. So all of that is kind of going in there. So it's a nice big die set that you're getting in that mixed florals. Yeah, and after the when we had the retiring sale, I'm like, I lost a lot of my flower sets. So I actually had to buy, I had to buy some new flower sets. All right, so on this one, we are going to be doing 2 different folders. We're going to do the Happy Hibiscus on the Azure Afternoon. And then I'm also going to be making this frame using one of the, I think this one is still current. It's the Timber embossing folder on that. So we are going to first, let's see here. Let's do our folders. So this one on my double lines, my paper is 3.5 inches wide by 4 3/4, and that's just basically I'm figuring out what my frame is. So on my original one, I had done the deckled rectangle die, but that has been discontinued. So I was going to use the arch die. So my cardstock is 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm just going to be cutting out a window. So I'll do that, and then I will run it through the Timber embossing folder afterwards. So we're going to do that, and then we will use the Happy Hibiscus embossing folder on the Azure Afternoon. So I'm going to do that really quick, and I will, for this one, I think I can zoom out here. I think I'll be able to, let's see if my, or maybe not. Well, I may have to do this off camera because I don't think I can adjust my, where my button is on my camera, I can't move it. So I apologize if this looks really zoomed in, but I'm first going to just real quick cut my window here. So I'm just going to cut out the window. So we'll do that. And this is the arch die that you're going to be getting out. So that piece you can just save for another day. And then I'm going to put this where I don't lose it. Over there. Now we've got our frame. I'm going to run this through the Timber embossing folder, and I want my wood grain going this way. So I want to make sure I am lined up on there, and then I'm going to run this through spine first. And because this is a 3D folder, you're going to use your adapter plate and then just the platform or whatever your oops, or not. Oh, that's right, because I got this thing still in here. Oops, there we go. Okay, let's try that again. So now you have your frame. So we'll set that aside. Then we're going to use the Happy Hibiscus on our Azure Afternoon, and I'm just going to place it in here. I do want to kind of move this out of the way so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. So I'm looking at my card. I want to be able to see a flower. So we can do, I want to go, maybe I'll go this way. I know, it's just kind of positioning where so you get some good flowers showing. All right, maybe I'll do this one. I'll do this right about there. Okay, so I'm kind of getting some good flower coverage there. All right, so again, I'm going to run this through spine first. And again, this is another 3D. It's a hybrid, so you could actually, if you wanted to die cut, you can put the die cut in and emboss and die cut at the same time. All right, so now there is your hibiscus. So super pretty, love it. All right, so that is all of our die cuttings. This can all get put away. Out of the way. All right, so now we want to do our scoring to get our lines. And again, because this one was 3.5, and I'm doing those double lines, and I kind of did this like by mistake, when I was scoring, but then I was like, oh, I kind of like that look. So, all right. So again, this is the raised side. So we want to draw our lines on the raised side, and I'm going to do a 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to do 5/8, so it's like right next to it. And then I'm going to go to 1, and then I'll do 1 1/8. And then I'm going to go 1 1/2, and then right next to it, 1 5/8. And then I'm going to do 2, and then right next to it, 2 1/8. And then we're going to do 2 1/2. Next to it, 2 5/8. And then the final one is going to be 3 and 3 1/8. So now you're getting those double lines on it. All right, so that one. Now for our inking, we are going to do some of this stuff out of the way. Okay, so working on the debossed side, so the side that dips in, we're going to start with Azure Afternoon. And then we're going to do Blueberry Bushel and Secret Sea, which is one of our new in colors. And this is a great neutral color. It's a nice dark, like I love the cardstock. It's just a beautiful color. It's one I'm like, oh, I wish we keep this one forever. Because it's a nice color. Okay, crush. Put that away. Okay, so we're going to start with Azure. And again, we're going to start on the on the silicone mat, give it a little test, see how juicy it is, and then we're going to kind of keep this, you know, kind of at an angle, swipe, rotate your cardstock, and swipe again. And then if you need to go back, you can always go back. So there, I got a little heavy-handed on that part, but it'll be fine. Okay, so that's with the Ezera. And then we're going to do, I'm just going to shift this. Sorry if I have to move my, there we go. We're going to do Blueberry Bushel next. So see here, this is where I gouged it. I did this myself. There was something on the pad and I went to go flick it off and I wound up ripping the pad. I'm like, oh, Linda, I did that myself. I'm like, I can't blame anybody but me. Okay, so again, a little bit lighter touch because this is a darker color. So I'm always just kind of flipping it, swiping, flip, and swipe. So we've got a little bit more dimension now. And then the last part is just adding that secret C. And again, this one I really don't do too much of the, I don't think I really did the, I think I just did more of the blending on this part of it. So I'm taking my blending brush, because this is a pretty dark color, and I'm just going to go around the edges. Sorry, shaky screen. But yeah, the blending, I love ink blending. It's, to me, it's like this and coloring. It's very relaxing. But yeah, you always want to kind of keep your brush head, keep your fingertip close to the brush head, and always kind of work in that singular motion. And then just kind of working around the cardstock, just the edges, just to darken it up. Isn't that pretty? Love it. Cool. All right, then let's go ahead, and I like to add just a little bit of the white gel pen. Oh, I'm looking for my, here it is. Just to give it a pop of color with the white on the centers of the flowers. And so here I'm just going to do a little bit of dots. You know, sometimes the gel pens, I'm always tapping it just to kind of get it going again. Okay, did I get all the centers? I think I did. All right, so now we're going to set that aside really quick because I want to, on our frame, just because I want that kind of burnt, kind of carved look to it as well. So I'm going to stay on the raised edge on this one, and I'm going to do the pecan pie, and very lightly, because I kind of have like a very narrow, I'm just going to be very light when I start, just so I'm not catching this. You could also just use your blending brush here too, which I think that's what I'm going to use on the inside part of this. Just have a little bit more control. So very light. I'm just going to kind of, again, focus on just the edges. I got a little bit of a line here. I'm going to try and blend that out with my brush here, because I got caught on the paper a little bit. Okay. And again, just very light, focusing on those edges. There you go. So now you've got your little burnt wood there. Wipe this up. Lots of cleaning today. All right, now let's put this all together. Okay. My fingers aren't too inky. All right, where's the rest of my pieces? Yeah. All right, so standard A2 card. I'm just going to have it open up just like your normal size. So 5.5 by 8.5, scored in half at 4 1/4. And then again, I've got that crumb cake two-tone cardstock. And on this one, I am going to keep the lighter shade because I am going to stamp just for my inside of my card. I'm going to bring in this hibiscus stamp, and I'm just going to do this in crumb cake just as a soft accent just in the corner here. Just from the stamp. Whoa, geez, sorry. I'm making a mess here. Okay, and then I can go ahead and put that on the inside of the card. Okay. All right, and then we're going to add our blue part. We're going to glue that down, and then our frame will go over it like so. Cool. Okay, so this one, I'm just going to use some of my liquid glue to go around. Perfect. And then we'll attach the entire thing to our early espresso card base. again, I just use a block just because this is pretty inky. They're not too bad, but yeah, you do get a little bit of inky fingers on this technique, but well worth it. All right, and then this again was that die from the mixed florals, and I did run this already through. I made it into a sticker just because it's such an intricate die cut. I didn't want to have to muck around with adding the glue while I'm videoing this, so I just made this into a sticker just to make it a little bit faster. Okay, and then we'll position this. Oops. It's just going to have it right on the edge of the bottom here. Yeah, I really like this die. I think this is really cool looking. So it's from a wildflower set, but I'm making it a kind of tropical still. Okay, so that's attached, and then I have stuff that I already die cut, and this is from the hibiscus dies. So these are the little tropical flowers. So I did Darling Duckling, the Timid Tiger, and then this is Poppy Parade. And I have, again, from the Happy Hibiscus, this is that die. And I think I will do, I think I'm just going to make this a birthday one. So this is on Very Vanilla that I already stamped, or die cut. And I think I'm going to ink it up in, do I want the blue? I think I might do Blueberry Bushel. So I'll ink my saying. And this Happy Birthday, it's a retired, I don't know which one it's from. I just wanted a happy birthday that fit into the circle. So sometimes I like to keep a lot of my word stamp sets, because depending on what die you're working with, it's like you don't always have the right size stamp for them. All right, look at that. Nice and centered. And this, I think I was just going to glue straight down. And then I'll do my flowers. Let's see, how do I want to do this? I think something like that. Okay, let's glue this one down. Want to bring this over. All right, and then I'm just going to use a little bit of the glue dots just to attach these flowers. And on these flowers, I do like to kind of give them a little bit of shape. So I just kind of bend them up a little bit. And I just mucked that up with my... So one there. Again, I just kind of fold them up a little bit just to give them some shape. I know, it's always like, ugh, it's the layout. All right, and then again, just kind of give it some shape. All right, last one. And again, just kind of fold those little leaves up. And then I'm going to add, these are, I think they're on the clearance rack, but I still had some of these left over, and they're blue. These are just some of the little sparkle gems. Just trying to use up what I have. Oops. Does that not have, oh yeah, it does. There we go. Okay, need to use this thing to pull it off. Okay, fun. So that is your technique, the faux carved wood, using the Happy Hibiscus with your colored cardstock, kind of doing a variation of with those score lines, as well as doing with the new embossing folder, the sunflower, and again, just kind of playing around with our dimensions on, you know, how far apart you do those planks of wood. So a really fun technique. Again, the ideas are endless. So make sure, like I said, I'm going to take some more pictures of all these other ones that I had made, and I will post them in my Stampin' with the VIP Houndz Facebook group page. So make sure you stop by, and if you have not already joined that group, we would love to have you. Again, have a great and creative day, and I will stamp again with you soon. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.